Welcome back. I'm very excited on this episode to have Shartina and Orin Voorhees again. And we're going to talk about tips for a successful, sustainable marriage. They've been married 20 years through unique challenges. And I'm very excited to hear what they have to share with us. Good morning.
Hello.
How are you, Shartina?
Doing well. How are you today, Justin?
I'm well as well. Good morning, Orin.
It's waving at you.
Yeah. Hi. Looking handsome. Who cuts your hair?
Great clips.
It's good enough for me too. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting us.
Oh, I'm honored. Truly. How was your Saturday morning?
It's going really well. We're enjoying just kind of a quiet morning and just enjoying being home on a weekend. How are you? Slowing down from a busy week a little bit.
Is Saturday morning normally go out in the garden morning for Orin? You guys?
It depends. Last week we went out and planted. Orin wanted to plant corn and peas, so we were out planting last week. His dad created a little planter for him that has, it's a PVC pipe with a cup attached to it that Orin can pick up. I can hand him a seed, or he can pick up a seed, drop it down through a little funnel to plant.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, you look just the same, Orin. Just the same, just older, just like me. Why does time do this to us?
You earn every piece of it, don't you? Every little wrinkle and every gray hair is earned.
Yeah, it's a silver fox. That's a stylish swath of gray, I think. We worked hard for the silver fox status, didn't we?
That big smile.
I've brought you on because I love your marriage, and having been through divorce, since then it's become my mission to understand successful, sustainable marriages and also to promote them. So I'm guaranteed to glean a great wealth of knowledge from you guys this morning, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Sure, we'll do what we can.
So tell me about you guys. Tell me about your marriage and how it started. And
Sure. So I was a student at BYU when I heard about Orin being shot, and he was in my aunt's ward. So the ward that my mom actually grew up in. So I was really familiar with this area, but I didn't know who Orin was. And so she said, you need to come over and help with this therapy. And so at a very busy time, because I was at the end of my working on my bachelor's, I went over and started helping with his therapy. And then eventually became one of his employees, one of his respite workers. So when his mom needed to go shopping or go to a relief society activity, anything like that, I could come over and work with him and help him with his therapy. So when I met Orin, he was shot in April of 1997, April 9th, 1997. And I met him
Yeah.
July 12th, 1997. And I knew probably from the very beginning that he would heal, that he would be fine. And so within about a month of meeting him, I knew that someday I'd marry him. So he was still a missionary at that time, and a lot of people were coming in and helping with this therapy, which is something you got to do once he came home. You got to come home.
I'm noticing a change in your face, Orin, from when we're talking about planting seeds to the marriage. Maybe a change in the brow. I'm curious what you're feeling as we begin talking about your marriage.
You're just thinking about it, or do you have something you want to say?
He kind of just jumped right in.
He's just thinking, he says.
And he's telling you that with his fingers?
He's using sign language to tell me. So he says he's just thinking about it and remembering. So a lot of the earlier times when he was in the hospital and stuff, he doesn't have memories of that. The ward and community came together and built an addition to his parents' home. So he got to come home the end of 1997. I graduated from BYU and I moved to Pleasant Grove and started helping with him. And just kept working with him. So as I helped him more and more, so I worked with him 5.5 years. He asked to be released from his mission in November of 2002. And we got engaged. His parents helped him kneel down and lean against something, and he spelled out in sign language "will," and he pointed at me. He spelled out "Mary," and he pointed at himself. And so, of course, so we got married the day after Christmas that year, so December 26th, 2002. So we just celebrated our 20th anniversary a few months ago. Is there something you wanted to say about that, Orin? No, just listening again. So that's how we got married. We got married in the Manti Temple. And that's Orin had always wanted to get married in Manti. So that's where his parents were married. And so we went to the Manti Temple.
Beautiful.
And when I first met Orin, he didn't have any facial expressions. The only way he could communicate was by moving his head to one side for yes and one for no, and then started being able to blink, and we started doing a lot of therapy, facial therapy with him. And so I remember when I first saw him smile, it was amazing. And then as he started using his body more, it was really cool. So now Orin, and he has for a long time, since probably about 1998, he paints. He likes to paint every week. He has a painting team.
Slow down, Tina. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that you're about to. Oh, this is the painting I asked him to see last time. Shut up.
Let's see. We want to try to make sure there's not any glare on it. How does that look?
You freaking painted that, Orin?
So you got really loud if you painted that. Yeah.
That is exceptional.
So he's always been an artist. He mostly, before he was shot, he mostly sketched and etched in glass and did things with wood. So this opened up just a different side of his artistic ability.
That is better than what I could paint at my prime. I did art in high school. I was in AP college level art my senior year, and was in some competitions, but I didn't come close to this. And is this another one? We're gonna rewind and go back to the beginning of your marriage story and get some greater details. But yeah, let's pause and look at these incredible.
It's pretty good.
That looks a lot like Arizona.
So this is Southern Utah.
That looks.
Yeah.
It's where?
Smithsonian Butte near Zion.
Near Zion. Okay,
Yeah.
near Zion's National Park. Signal
So-
Butte Pass. Is that what you said?
Smithsonian Butte. Like the
That's beautiful.
Smithsonian Museum. That's so Orin loves to paint, and that helps him gain a lot more of his use of his hand.
Orin, my mind is blown. That painting of Zion's is gorgeous. I love those clouds.
So part of that is that he painted a painting for me too that had poinsettias and roses for our wedding. So he did some gifts for me in painting, which is something I absolutely love. So Orin thinks of things to do for me that I just really appreciate.
The imperfection in the lines, the imprecision, I that's exactly my style. I mean, it's obvious what it is you're painting. I mean, the bear, the sunset, the clouds, it's all very precise, but some of the edges have a little I don't know art history well enough to talk about what styles I'm seeing, but I really genuinely like both of those paintings. The style,
yeah,
it's just my style.
Just that's part of, now with not being able to speak, that's a way he can express himself quite a bit through his art. He has a painting of a horse, a mama horse and a baby horse, and they have blue manes, and the sky is green and orange. And he specifically chose those colors, and that's why he wanted, so that it would be his own art.
Well, I want to slow down and circle back to some of the marriage details. So fascinating and exciting. And if at any time your mood shifts, or I notice some change in facial expression, I'm going to assume maybe you want to say something or that you're having feelings about the content. And in as much as is possible through your lovely translator here, I'd love to hear what it is that's on your heart and mind. So, and I have time. I've set aside the time, and whatever your needs are, I don't know how much time you have, but as long as it takes and as slow as we need to go, I'm prepared for that. And definitely want to make sure that we're not like zipping past a whirlwind of emotion. I mean, I really want to hear your story and understand it and get both of your perspectives on what it was like to marry and what it's been like to stay married. Are you guys feeling well rested? Are you good to go for
probably about
an hour or so, or
about an hour, Orin? And then it'll be lunchtime.
okay, we'll see. All right. So just to review a little bit, Orin went to serve a mission in Argentina, right?
Correct.
1990, what, 5 or 6?
He left in 1996.
All right, and there was an incident midway through the mission or toward the end.
He was about 10 months into his mission in the country.
And was shot in the head.
Yes.
He over some petty theft or what?
Yes, he likes to show where he was shot. Right back there behind your ear. So yeah, I didn't expect him to live.
And why was he shot? What was he shot over?
There were just three young men who saw Americans and thought that they had money, and it was a really difficult time in Argentina's economy. So they everybody knew when it happened who it was because the young men didn't have anything to do. They didn't have jobs and stuff, so they pretty much knew who it was when it happened for him. The one held a gun to Orin's head with another one with a knife to him on the other side. And the third one pulled his companion away and started fighting him. And his companion was trying every which way to get over to Orin. And finally was able to, when the gunshot went off, the men ran. And so his companion was able to get to him after that.
So Orin was the only one hurt.
Yes.
And we weren't sure if he would live for a time.
Yeah, so his parents, they didn't want his parents to go down for a few days because they thought that they'd just be bringing him a body. So when the church finally said, let's have you come down, they hurried and got their passports together. And Orin's older brother speaks Spanish, so he accompanied them down to Argentina to be able to translate for them.
And then shortly he came back to the States, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so he was shot in April and he was brought back at the end of May. And part of that was the difficulty in finding transportation back because they don't usually, medevacs don't go that far. They don't fly that far. So, so John Huntsman Sr. offered his private jet to go bring Orin home.
Thank you, John.
Yeah. And so with getting
what a trying time.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
What a trying time that must have been. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, during all of this,
2 months.
Yeah, I started watching it on the news, but again, I didn't know him, but I knew from interviews that he was in my aunt's ward. And during this time, my dad and I went back to visit my mission in Russia. So when he was dealing with all of these difficulties, I was visiting friends that I loved in Russia. So yeah, it was his.
I'm curious. I'm curious, Orin, what your memories are from that time, or if because of the injury, some of that 2-month period in Argentina is no longer there. Maybe that would be a blessing in disguise. But I'm curious about just how you felt about just looking at the loss of the mission and what the future might mean and how that changed from your vision of your future as a growing young man.
Saying no longer, you don't remember it, but you don't remember any of it. Nope, he doesn't remember any of that, which is a very good thing. From what his parents and siblings went through.
So when do the memories kick back in for you, Orin, as an adult?
Was it in the hospital or when you came home? Or the care center or home? More when you came home? Yeah, his parents felt very impressed that he should be home. He'd get to be home around familiar sights and sounds and smells. And so that was a big blessing. He started kind of coming alive during that time.
I'm so glad in a way that the horrific events and I mean, to remember 2 months in a foreign country on the edge of life seems like it could be quite terrible, and to have the memories be retained when the love really started pouring in and the friends coming over massaging and nursing back to life and to capacity. That seems like a good thing to start remembering is
he he just positive attitude, always positive attitude. You very seldom see Orin upset.
No wonder your marriage is smooth sailing.
He's a happy man, and he doesn't begrudge anybody or anything. One time he was up in a standing table. It was very painful. I was telling him about this was before we were married, a difficult day I'd had at work, and I realized I have nothing to complain about. And his friend was getting married, and I asked him if he would trade places, if he wished he could trade places with his friend, and he said no, that he knew that this was what God had, that God knew him, and so he wouldn't trade places with anyone, that he would live his life and be happy. Look to the right if that's true. Yeah.
This was before your marriage to
Yeah.
him. And what impression did that leave on you?
Just the biggest thing was to just see life differently. That we take too many things too seriously that are not a big deal, because there are always things that are a lot worse. So we kind of take things more in stride usually. Occasionally we have things that drive us crazy, but really try to take things in stride and not get overly uptight over things.
So was that one of the things that attracted you to Orin? His outlook on life?
Yeah, his outlook on life, just a happy attitude, obedience, wanting to, always teasing. Even when he couldn't express himself very much, he would tease. He teases everybody. He's always has a joke that he's playing in his mind on someone. So he'll shake your hand and he won't let go unless you say please. So when people are in a big hurry, he won't let go of them. And it doesn't matter who you are, you have to say please. So just what a blessing to have somebody who's happy and doesn't get discouraged. I mean, sometimes he gets frustrated with a few things, but even that's very rare for him.
Nice. I can only imagine that helps the marriage.
Immensely. I think that's one of the biggest things, just having someone who has such a positive outlook on life. And we often have people say, well, in the millennium, Orin will be able to walk and talk. And then as if that's all that matters in life. But I try to explain to people, we're happy now. We're excited for the millennium too, but life is to be happy now and not to always be living for something in the future, because we're meant to have joy. So that's our biggest thing, is to strive to always be happy or get back into that place of being happy. Orin?
Well, I was thinking about you a few days ago, knowing we would chat today, and I had a millennium question, actually. Well,
Okay.
a resurrection question. But before I ask it, when I was thinking about that, obviously because of Orin being restored to his perfect frame and how that might look. But I was thinking about along the same lines of what you said. My thoughts went to, well, this is his body, and his spirit. From what I could tell on the last call and what I'm feeling right so far on this call, is his spirit is more perfect than mine, and that sometimes I know personally, I feel like my spirit in some ways looks like Orin's body. And, our soul is both spirit and body combined. And when there's a problem with the body, we see it and we immediately want to address it. But when there's a problem with our spirit, it's not immediately seen and unfortunately not immediately addressed. And so, spiritually speaking, maybe in terms of character development, many of us can go through life debilitated to the extent Orin is physically or beyond, and carry that with us in a perfectly functioning body through the end of our life. But because the spirit isn't seen the way the body is seen, the ailments can go unaddressed, and that we can just suffer with these spiritual disabilities for long, long periods of time. And I certainly believe that I have some of those, and then I started feeling grateful that I am now able to see some of my spiritual disabilities, whereas I've lived some decades without the ability to even know that I was, crippled spiritually in certain ways. So my question is, when Orin is resurrected and restored to his perfect mind and body, what % of him do you think will be new to you?
Probably only about 1%. Because one time we were at an activity. I was in Young Women, a young woman leader, and we drew our family what we thought they would look like, or how we pictured them. And I didn't even notice until after that when I drew Orin and me by a temple, I didn't draw him in a wheelchair. So I see Orin differently than other people see him already. For me, he's just Orin to me. Just a happy-go-lucky type of guy that just needs a little help in different ways.
Physically. Mm-hmm. He needs help physically.
Yep. And then
but
he's
spiritually, would you say he even helps you along?
Oh, definitely. A lot. And that's one thing that I feel blessed by. Most people don't get to spend as much in a marriage. Most people don't get to spend the amount of time we get to spend together, because Orin needs to be fed, and he has to be dressed, and he needs that care that most spouses don't get that opportunity. And so I feel like we're very blessed with getting to spend a lot of time together.
Yeah, so tell me more about the nonverbal communication between you two. In typical situations, marriages that end in divorce, there's a lot of fighting, a lot of verbal arguments, a lot of speaking of words that are hurtful. And also, in a lot of circles of marriage therapy and counseling, people are advised that, for decades in the 80s and 90s, communication was thought to be the solution. A marriage book I like says how to improve your marriage without talking about it. Well, you guys exemplify. So tell me about the nonverbal communication between you two, and how how marital bliss or happiness is filtered through your means of communicating.
Okay. So first of all, Orin understands everything, which was something they didn't expect. They said that because of the trail of the bullet, there are fragments of the bullet still in his brain. They said he would never be able to understand anything or communicate in any way, not just verbally. But he was taught sign language. He has a modified sign language where he finger spells, because he doesn't have a lot of use of his left hand. But if he needs something, usually he'll honk his horn on his wheelchair, or he'll raise his hand and start spelling things. Are you going to show me what you can do with your left arm? He's doing better with his left arm, aren't you, Orin?
Nice.
But part of it
You're proud of the improvements.
It's incredible. And there are times when I'm not understanding what he's spelling.
I'm sorry, it broke up. There are times when what?
when I'm not understanding what he's spelling when he's signing. And so I have to just ask him to spell again, and he has to be patient with me. And sometimes I'm still not getting it. He laughs at me. So sometimes I pray to say, Holy Father, I'm not understanding what Orin needs. Please help me to know. So I rely on the Spirit a lot, um, and that that's where I feel the most important is just in life in general, but in marriage to have a good, strong relationship with the Holy Ghost to help us understand each other, because men and women think so differently, and then but the Spirit can help us bridge some of those gaps, and that's what He does for us.
Yeah, I was thinking that this men and women are different, and this book, How to Improve Your Marriage Without Talking About It, says that at the root of the dysfunction in communication is that women are feeling fear that the connection is unraveling, and they want to feel securely tied to their man. And the man is often feeling shame because when the woman wants to talk about the marriage, he hears it as I'm doing something wrong, and so he's failing in his performance. Men are engineered to perform in order to meet the role of protect and provide, and so we feel shame when we feel like our performance is being criticized. In your situation, how does the typical masculine needs and feminine needs play out?
Well, Orin, we talk about things. He calls on who's going to say the prayer. He tells me. I read when we do scripture study. We read them either in English or Russian because he's learned some Russian. So he tells me if he wants Russian or English. When we're with family, they have him call on someone to say the prayer. We talk about financial things where I ask him about things. So we just look at it as we're in it together, and our situation is just different than everybody else's. Because marriage is difficult for anybody. It's just difficult in different ways for each person, each couple. And so ours is just unique to us, just like every other marriage is unique.
Well said. In terms of, I'm curious, Shartina, in terms of how you view Orin in terms of his masculinity, what is your perspective? I know that, yeah, just answer that, and then if I need to prompt more, I will, but.
Orin, I tell him that real men have scars, and he has a lot of scars from different things he's experienced.
And he's proud of his scars.
Yeah.
Like a real man.
He still loves motorcycles. He loves rock and roll. His personality, everything, it's still there. It's still Orin. And so we work together. Not long after we got married, maybe a year after we got married, he said he wanted to get a job. And I said, are you worried about money? Because, we're making enough money with my job, but he wanted a job. And I realized that was a need that he needed fulfilled. So he is a greeter at Deseret Industries. So he has a computer that helps him greet people as they come in the door. So that's a way that he can work, but also serve people and help them be happy. So his job is to make people happy, and he does a really good job of that.
I can appreciate that desire, Orin, to still express your masculine need to provide by working. Sure. How is the so this face you're making now, this furrowed brow, what does that mean to you, Shartina? Like, typically, what does that indicate for you?
Most of the time it's him thinking about something. thinking
Oh,
deeply.
okay.
Is that true, Orin? Give us a big smile if you think deeply. Yeah. Yeah, and Orin's just very tenderhearted. And to me, when I think of masculinity, I think of Christ and his attributes. And Orin has a lot of those attributes. He's very, very tenderhearted. He specifically, when someone bears testimony of Joseph Smith and Jesus Christ, or talks about their lives, what they went through, he's very tenderhearted about that. And so, to me, that's the most masculine you could be, is to have the attributes of Christ, and he has most of those, if not all of them. And of course, he's continually working on them, just like all of us. But he really emulates Christ in his life, and he wants to serve people, and so we strive to find ways to serve people in our way. And so, to me, that's the best version of masculinity you can get.
Agreed that Christ is the perfect example of masculinity. I would also suggest that Christ is the perfect example of femininity. Maybe that's a conversation for another time. But I have the it seems to me like, Orin, that you love getting the help that you need from your wife. Like, I'm sure all the physical touch is nice. I'm sure all the attention is nice. And so in receiving all this help as a man, is your masculinity not threatened? And for you, Orin, and also in your perception of him as a man, Shartina, as you serve him and you clearly see that he has vulnerabilities, physical needs that require your attention and help, this doesn't change your view of him as a man?
Nope, not at all. Nope. Um, when he got released from being a missionary, I knew I would marry him someday. But when he got released as a missionary, I thought, oh boy, this is kind of put up or shut up time.
This is put up or shut up time?
Yeah, it's one of those where you've known this, and I
You're
guess
talking
in
about
my
marrying
mind,
him. Put up or shut up on the idea of you marrying him? Is that what you're talking
yes,
about?
yeah, it was. You've known
Yeah, because
this.
there was a gap, right? You said you came home in 98 and you married in 2002.
So
Is that
he came
right?
in May of '97, and I met him in July of '97. We got married in 2002, so it was 5.5 years.
Yeah. And
And so,
this whole time you're working with him
yeah,
as
so
an
I don't.
aide, right?
Yeah, and I think in my mind, I thought that when we got married, he'd be walking and talking and everything again. I think that's what my perception was.
I
And
see.
then all of a sudden, I thought when he was going to get released, I thought, oh boy, this is a lot more responsibility than I imagined. But I felt impressed to go and open up a book by Sister Hinckley called Reflections. And in it, she talks about when she was engaged to Gordon. And
Our
it
future
was
prophet.
it was during the Great Depression. And he was concerned about their upcoming marriage because he didn't have very much money. So he invited her to come and speak with him, and they visited. And I don't remember the amount of money. In my mind, it's $150, but that might not be correct. Anyway, he said, I'm worried because I only have $150. And she said, oh, wow. You mean, I thought I was just getting a husband and you tell me I'm getting $150? And just how she didn't care. She just wanted to be married to him, and she knew things would work out. And the Spirit just basically told me the same thing, that the obstacles were minor and it would all be just fine. And it has been, even when Orange had some difficult challenges in the meantime. Things have worked out, haven't they, Orin?
I'm so jealous of the love that I see exchanged between you two. There's so much tenderness.
Well, and
There's so much camaraderie and friendship.
we're not perfect. We get upset with each other, but Orin has helped me. He is very forgiving, quick to forgive, and that's something that he's taught me to apologize quickly and to forgive quickly, which has been a big blessing.
Yeah, that is major. Having a positive sentiment between husband and wife is the key indicator listed by John Gottman, who runs, I would say, the preeminent marriage research facility in the world. He hooks people up to biometrics and he asks them to fight for 15 minutes. And from that, he can predict divorce at a rate of over 90%.
Wow.
And he says the number one. Wait, hold on. I missed that.
We would probably start laughing during that if someone told us to start arguing.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm jealous of. He says the number one predictor of marriage staying together is positive is basically positive sentiment override. Can you tell if in the exchange the wife and the husband like each other? If there's mutual positive sentiment flowing between them. And in marriages where they're at risk of failing, that's the remedy, that's the medicine he prescribes, is to nurture the friendship. And you guys have that positive sentiment. It's just oozing. And I can see it coming both ways.
We have a lot of fun together, don't we, Orin? We have little competitions all the time. Like, I try to guess if something as simple as which flavor of lip balm he wants. And so I guess in my mind before I ask him, and sometimes I'm the winner, sometimes I'm the loser. And if I say that he wants, that I thought he wanted the mango and he tells me no, that he did want mango, but he changes it on me, he wants chocolate instead, so that I can be the loser. But Orin has an I love you forever. This is I love you forever in sign language. And now it's a competition between everybody he knows to see who will say it first. So with family members and friends that come to our house, when I leave for work, when I come home from work, we try to beat each other who said that first. And there's no prize in winning or losing it. It's just a fun competition. So.
Yeah. Very little. I'm seeing very little guile, just pure, sweet, innocent fun constantly in the home.
Yeah, and you'll see.
It sounds like a recipe for success to me.
Well, and we're imperfect in many ways. You know, house needs to be clean. We're running crazy all the time, but Orin's very kind and merciful in my imperfections. How Orin?
How often do you socialize? What does the socializing look like?
So ours is a little bit different. It depends. We do a lot, mostly with family and close friends. So obviously church every week. We go with his parents and 3 other ladies to do sealings at the temple every week. So we do the temple. We do family things. We just went to my niece's graduation from college on Thursday. Do a lot of interaction with family. Let's see, what else? He loves to go shopping. We still have people come and do therapy with him. So he meets a lot of people from our ward and stake that way. And occasionally, not as often, we go to movies. See, what else do we do? We do a lot of supervision at school events because I'm a teacher. And so we go to a lot of dances and basketball and football games. So we're out in the community a lot.
What kind of movies do you guys watch? What genre are you guys into?
We have different likes in that arena, huh, Orin?
Okay, so you're just like every other couple.
Yes,
All
he
right.
likes
gotta-
more sci-fi fantasy. I like animated ones.
How do you like Interstellar, Orin?
Like that one? Have you seen that one? I don't think so.
Orin, you gotta watch Interstellar. Matthew
That's
McConaughey's the best sci-fi. So good. That scene when he cries after he's been in space and his kids are growing. I'm not going to spoil more, but
Interstellar.
I'm going to follow up.
We'll need to do that one. Orin he loved reading all growing up, and now he listens to audiobooks like crazy. So he's very into audiobooks and podcasts. We listen to more story type of podcasts, Orin. So yeah, we just
Wow. Well, I'm enthralled. I'm overwhelmed by the success in rehabilitation from when I was with you last, Orin, back in 1997, massaging your legs and your arms, and yeah, so much was unknown, and here you are painting better than most painters I know. You're communicating, and you're happily married, man. Congratulations. In my world, this is a massive success. It's really the pinnacle success. And sure, Tina, I would really like to know just a little more. And I want to respect your time. So if we're out of time, maybe if 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 God tells you to do one more, maybe we could do another call. But I would be very curious to know about your experience in those 4.5 years. From when you met him, you said in the first month you knew you were going to marry him, and then years go by, and then it was either, what was the phrase you said? Either shut up or like all of that, because you're seeing the future and you're seeing his rehabilitation curve, and I'm just so curious.
So for me it was hard because I thought maybe I'm crazy, but I had confirmations over and over again that someday I would marry him. So I would go on dates occasionally, but I had gotten my bachelor's degree and just knew that if I married Orin, that I would need to work. And so if I was going to work, if I was going to teach school, I might as well make as much money as I could. So I got my master's degree, plus additional, there are different steps in teaching. And so I got additional education. And so during that time, I got my master's in August of 2002. So not long before we got married.
Okay.
And so it was hard at times. I thought that maybe I was crazy at different times, but I just kept working at things and just kept trying to not be uptight over getting married. So I was 30 when we got married. But I told myself I would be like, I could wait just like a certain Old Testament prophet because he knew who he was going to marry and had to work for. I just thought, okay. So I just worked and went to school and helped with his therapy. And
you knew there would be a lot of work involved.
So I just knew that.
And he's your first marriage, right?
Yes.
This is your first marriage.
Yes. Yep. And so, and again, what we experience is not a realistic thing for most people because our situation is so different. But I think for me, the biggest thing is people who are willing to, because we both enjoy serving, finding little service projects. And so we'll very supportive if I feel prompted to do something for someone. Orin gets really excited about it, and he'll also tell me we need to call brother so and so, or he'll finger spell it. So we'll do certain things if one of us feels prompted to do it, we do it, and that's one of the biggest things that brings joy. Orin, he'll tell me to call a certain person, and that's a big thing, service and following the Spirit, I think.
Yeah, my favorite couples have both lost themselves in service. I was advised by a mentor who's nursed me back to health from divorce that that's an essential element that I need when and if I move forward again in marriages, that we mutually enjoy serving. So that makes sense.
Well, and I was reminded again yesterday with how life gets so busy that no matter how busy we are or aren't, our first priority needs to be serving God. That's why we're here, is to serve Heavenly Father and each other. So if we're not doing that, then we've got to fix our priorities. So there's been times when we've had to adjust back our priorities into that service. Certain things with my job where I stepped away from some responsibilities at my job, knowing that I needed to focus more on that service element. And that's been a blessing to both of us too. So it's just like for anybody, it's a constant adjustment and realigning with what Heavenly Father wants us to do in our lives. Constant readjustment and evaluation.
Yeah. Well, you certainly got off to a good start in terms of your service orientation towards your spouse. And I would say that in my world, you know, I mentioned this to you last time, but my whole service to the world is sort of stemming out from my loss, my suffering in life. The whole reason I'm doing sustainable relationship consulting is because of my failures in marriage, particularly marriage. I mean, at the same time I was losing friendships, but they didn't hurt quite the same way as losing. So for my worldview, and to me personally, a successful, sustainable marriage is just the ultimate gift, the ultimate blessing. Doctrinally in our church, it's also connected with exaltation. So I think there's really something to the doctrine as far as what we're here on earth to learn, what we came to mortality to master, and it is all spiritual. It is all about the invisible connection between husband and wife and other family members and friends. And it's not about the physical component. And it just, what I'm seeing from this interview is that, you know, here Orin lost what most people think is the ultimate loss: your physical capacity, your capability to move and express yourself, to run and jump and dance and think and speak, and well, not think, but to speak verbally. And so I praise the Lord for those elements that have been retained. I've rejoiced to hear about your gardening and about your painting, and I'm still interested in knowing more of your physical capacities, but look what gain came from that loss. Look who you met. Look how you met. Look at the patterns of marital success that were established during those 4.5 years. And look how happy you guys are. I mean, thank you for letting me look into your life and to see this huge success that's come from what appeared to be such a huge loss. And I'm so happy for your spiritual connection, for your emotional connection, and just for the general success that you're experiencing in marriage and in daily life. It's precisely the prescription our ailing world needs right now, is more success in the home and between husband and wife. And you're all-star examples of that. And I so look up to you.
Thank you.
Well, and I look forward to the next time our paths cross. Thank you so much for this time. It's been a little more than an hour, but I'll let you get that delicious lunch going.
When you're back in Utah, come visit.
Thank you. I'll take you up on that. I love you both.
We love you. Thank you for the opportunity. Oh, Orin says he loves you forever. He just won.
Is this it? Am I doing it right?
We're not seeing you.
Oh, you're not seeing me this whole time?
No.
Aw. Well, do it for me on the screen. I think I'm getting it. Go slow. Hold on. My brain. Okay, hold on.
So you're basically doing R in sign language with the Y out. Love you forever.
One of my favorite moments in life was when my son, he was like 3 or something. He's like, Dad, I love you forever and ever 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 and ever. And then I won't love you anymore. But he went on for like a minute. All right. That's a cute little way to say goodbye. So
And we're in one, by the way.
I love you guys. I love your joking and your teasing. So fun to be around.
Take care.
Hey, I will. You do the same.
Give those boys a hug.
I will. I will next time I see him. Okay. Enjoy the simple life.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.